Yesu wangu umeniita, kwa jina langu nikaitika, nikakubali kukufuata, nikapenda sana kukutumikia. Haikutosha jangwani ukanipeleka, ili unipone pone pone na kunivunja vunja, kudharauliwa, kuonewa, kukataliwa, kulia lia lia lia, ilikuwa ni maisha. Hapo nikiambiwa siwezi barikiwa, ninaambiwa siwezi inuliwa. Hapo tuma ulikuwa umenilemea, nani wangu angeli nisaidia. Hi everyone. Hi. Ukanisumbukia najua. Hi. Welcome to the Hope Hub. Welcome to my channel, everyone. I didn't want to interrupt that song. That song is by Rebecca Soki, and the name of the song is Kile Ninachokijua. Kile Ninachokijua. What I know is that God, you are for me. And that song is by Rebecca Soki, and I do not own the copyright to that song, y'all. So YouTube, don't be blocking me. So anyway, hi everyone, welcome and thanks for tuning into the Hope Hub. Our goal with this show, as you already know, we're here Monday through Friday. At least we try to be here Monday through Friday and upload a video at least 3 to 5 times a week. And the goal of this show and this company is to provide you with a hope lifeline, to provide you with a hope connection, a hope strategy, maybe a concept, an idea that will help you start your day energized and ready to keep moving forward, right? Moving forward and executing on your dreams and your purpose. So please take a moment to hit that subscribe button today. Make sure you hit subscribe so you can get that notification in your mailbox, through the YouTube channel, through Facebook, through wherever you meet us on these social media platforms, so you can get a hope lifeline for your day. That's why I'm here every day, Monday through Friday. So what is the hope lifeline for this evening? What is the hope lifeline for today? Well, this has been a particularly hard week. Yesterday, I believe I spoke about the Ethiopian airline crash that happened somewhere in Ethiopia. I don't remember the city or the town. However, 157 souls were lost on board of that that flight on Sunday. And this week, I've also had a loss in the family of a very close family member. And so this video is kind of sort of in her memory, especially during this time when I'm thinking about her and thinking of my family at large. So whenever you have something happen to you or a family member, inevitably you start thinking about mortality. You start thinking about, what should I be doing? What should I not be doing? How should I be living my life more in purpose? How can I be living a life that is more fulfilling, a life that I'm spending more time with my family, more quality time, especially because, tomorrow is not promised. And I know a lot of us do not like to think about that, but that is the truth. That's the cycle of life. So I'm starting this video by asking you this question. What if today, right now, you found out that you only had 1 year left to live? 1 year left to live. If you had a year to live, would you continue doing the same things that you're doing right now? Or would you make some pretty massive changes to your life? Maybe for some of you, it may not be massive, but for some others, if you found that out today, 365 days is all you have left. Maybe there are some pretty massive changes you would make to your life. Maybe you would decide that that person that you're living your life with or spending your life with is not the person that needs to be in your life right now. Maybe you would drop them like it's hot this very moment, right? Maybe the job that you're working at right now, you would go and resign today if you found out that you had 365 days left in your life. Would you be worried about what your neighbors thought if you knew that you had a year to live? Would you be worried about the clothes you wear or the style that you're wearing? Would you be worried about wearing that mini skirt or wearing those tight pants or wearing those ripped jeans or wearing that top that may be too young? Maybe you're thinking, yeah, whatever style that you went to the store and you're like, oh, I'm 40, I'm 45, I'm 35. I can't be wearing that, even though I do want to wear it, right? What changes would you make in your wardrobe today? Would you spend your time watching mindless TV if you knew that you had 365 days left in your life? Huh? Would you binge watch? What is the show that I was binge watching lately? Shades of Blue. Would you be binge watching TV right now if you knew you had only a few, days left in your life, a year left in your life? Would you be glued to Facebook and social media trying to figure out what to post on your Facebook that people will probably like or comment on? Would you be taking selfies on Instagram if you knew that you only had a year left in your life? What is it that you would give up? Would you be wasting time trying to think about the best tweets possible? Would you be playing video games all day? Would you be angry at your job? Would you be worried about the bills that are in your mailbox right now or on top of your kitchen counter? Would you be stressed about things? Would you be complaining and bitching and whining when you're waiting in line at a restaurant? How would you behave in terms of your personality? What things in your personality would you change today if you knew that that was going to be the case? The sad news is that most people don't get a warning that their time will be up soon. No one knows the day or the time. And even those who know, who've been given a terminal diagnosis where they're told you're now ill and you have these 30 days or 60 days or 1 year, they are normally too ill or the life is too short for them to make any true amendments to their lives. They found out too late, and then suddenly they are forced to reprioritize and rearrange their lives somehow so that it makes sense and it fits into the purpose of their life in order for them to be happy during the short time that they have. So it seems rather silly that while most of us are caught up in that rat race, that we are in actuality working against the clock of our lives, knowing somewhere deep inside that we are closer to the end than to the beginning. It's sad because as you get older, you start seeing the decades ahead of you are actually shorter than the time that you have behind you, right? So many people talk about when their time comes. Some people talk about in future, this is what I'm going to do. When the kids are grown, guess what? I'm going to go climb Mount Everest. When in future, when I don't have these commitments, when I don't have a mortgage, this is when I'm going to finally be happy and when I'm going to live for the moment, right? Is that you? Is that you? Do you want to wait until you can afford something in order for you to be happy? You shouldn't be spending your present time waiting for the future in order for you to be happy, because sadly, the future is not guaranteed. So live like you're dying. Live like you're dying. Why? This is what happens when people are given that time frame, or when they live like they're dying. Maybe if you lived like you're dying, you might start taking risks. Have you noticed that when people know that they have a year or 2 years, they finally book that Alaskan cruise, or they finally take that trip to Disney, or they finally make that voyage to Egypt or to Israel or to what are the places, Mecca? They finally decide to kiss their spouse more or spend more time with their children. They finally decide, well, maybe I should make that phone call to that friend that I've wanted to speak to for the last 25 years, right? So finally, all of a sudden, you start seeing the silver lining in the clouds in your life and you start enjoying the simple things. Suddenly, the sun Waking up every single morning, you're looking at the sun and you're like, isn't this glorious? Isn't the sun absolutely amazing? When you look at the moon at night, all of a sudden it's glowing and it's more beautiful. Once you start realizing that the seasons that you have in that one year, you only have 4 more seasons. That means you have only one more summer, one more winter, one more spring, one more fall. That's it. You only have one more vacation. That's it. You only have one more Christmas with your family, one more Easter. That's it. And that's what happens, is that there is power in knowing that we're mortal. There's power in mortality. So all of us as human beings, our time on this planet is limited, even though most of us feel invincible on a day-to-day basis, right? So one of the things that you can do as a hope lifeline, as a hope strategy, as a hope concept, as a hope idea, as you go into your week, is write down 20 to 25 things you want to do or accomplish before you die. Sometimes this is something, it's called a bucket list by some people, however you want to look at it. But basically, what are those things that if you were told today to take a piece of paper and a pen, what are those things that you would do if you only had 1 year left in your life? What are those bucket list items? You know, as I say this, I'm starting to think, what exactly are those things that I've always wanted to do? And sometimes it's not even that necessarily you want to do them. Maybe it's family members that have wanted to do it as a group, or your children have wanted to do certain things and you've been holding off and holding off, but still they're part of the desire that you have to do for them, right? So what are those things that you want to do? 25 things, write them down today and make a commitment to start working on them. Make a commitment to try and abbreviate or condense the time in your mind that you've had to do those things, because most of those things you're probably saying, in 20 years, in 30 years, I'm going to do such and such. I'll take that trip to Egypt and see the pyramids. Well, what if you don't have 25 years? Maybe you only have 5, right? What would you be doing today in order to make sure that you can do those things? The other thing that someone told me that I thought was really significant, and I wish I had written it down. Someone told me those things that are in your purpose space, those things that are in your goal space or intention or legacy space. A lot of us think we have 50 years to do those things. But what if you had 1 year? What would you be doing right now to make sure that that thing that is the legacy item or a purpose item gets done? If you abbreviate that time, you're not left with a whole lot of time to take action, but it means that you feel an energy to execute and take action. You feel that drive to do something about it. So, for example, there are people who have talked about authorship. I'm going to write a book before I pass on. You know, this is something that you've thought about doing, but you think, I have until I'm 80 years old. I have 4 more decades that I could possibly do this, or I have the next decade to write this book. Well, what if you were told you only had 6 months? And this is something you've wanted to do, is write your biography. Make sure you leave this absolutely beautiful fictional or non-fictional book that you've written about your life or about whatever subject or topic that you're interested in. What if you only had 6 months? What would you do today? What would you do this week? What would you do in the next few months to make sure that that thing, when you condense time and you realize that tomorrow is not promised, it gives you that unction to accelerate and start doing things consistently and take action towards those things that you want to do, right? So go ahead and write those things down and try and not think about the things that make you halt and make you say, I'll revisit next time. So what are those things? Is it money that you're thinking you don't have? Is it the perception that you don't have time that has made you hold back? Is it the thought that you don't deserve to be happy? Is it the thought that you're not good enough, right? Because that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is I'm not good enough to be able, or I don't deserve this, right? That my life is not designed right now for me to serve others and to impact communities and to impact the world and to do this purpose and this legacy. item, right? Is it because you're afraid to try and extend yourself? Because you think, oh my God, if I do this, I don't think I have the capacity to do it. And so you end up not experiencing the things in life that you truly, truly want. Um, so last but not least, what I want to say is that I brought up this topic because of people dying this week. A tremendous amount of tragedy and death occurred over the weekend and into this week. But it shouldn't take a close friend dying unexpectedly, or a family member passing away, or a huge tragic event like this airplane crash happening for us to realize that our dreams are meant to be executed, and that we need to make them happen, and that we need to live more fulfilling lives, right? It shouldn't take those things to happen, especially since most of the time you don't get the chance to do things differently. You don't get back the time that you've wasted. And your Facebook status and your Instagram status and your Twitter status is not going to go on a headstone. That's not what's important. What is important is you thinking about the fact that you do have an expiration date, and take a moment, think about what would you do differently if you knew you only had a year to live. So spring into action. Start realizing today just how important your life is, and take flight to live without regret. After all, you have much more to gain than you do to lose. So the last thing that I'll talk about is, because I don't want y'all to leave this Hope Lifeline feeling really depressed and down, is on YouTube. I was Googling, or I did a search for what would you do if you had 1 year to live, and a video popped up. I think the channel is called The Cut, and this video has, they interview 100 people and ask them, what would you do if you only had 24 hours to live? And it was the funniest video ever. And so I really recommend that you go, maybe do a search and look for that video. But basically, these are some of the things that people said if they had not 1 year, but 24 hours to live. And I just thought, as human beings, we are hilarious. We're just funny, because once you accelerate, or you tell people they only have like 24 or 6 hours to live, then all of a sudden they want to do the craziest things. So here are some of the things that I wrote down from that video in terms of what people were saying they were going to do. Okay. So number one person said she would finally go on stage on a theater and sing or perform on stage. And she was like, she would sing or perform like in a play like The Lion King, and just sing that Lion King song, na 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 na, whatever that song, that song. So I thought that was funny, and you know how people are so scared of stage fright and all those things. But she was like, I would find it, if I had 24 hours to live, I don't care how big the audience is. I don't care if it's Carnegie Hall. I would go up on stage and belt out a tune. Then someone else said, ooh, I would go get a lap dance. I'm like, a lap dance? Girl, you are too much. You are cray. But she was like, I would get a lap dance. I would get maced. I would get tased. I would ride a mechanical bull. I'm like, what? Like, who would go in their right mind and get maced or tased? I think I would ride a mechanical bull. Someone said I would get trashed, get drunk. Actually, not someone. A lot of people talked about how much they would drink, get trashed, turn up, party, smoke weed, smoke pot, have drinks, have a huge hangover night, like, just party like there's no tomorrow, smoke with Snoop Dogg, and a whole host of other things that were completely unmentionable, especially when it came to sex and relationships, and going out with Michael B. Jordan, and sleeping with Drake, and all these things that I was like, oh my God, I got to shut my ears. I can't listen to this stuff. But of course, people also talked about within the next, with 24 hours left, they would call family, friends. They would spend time with their kids. But it was funny. They were saying, I would spend a few minutes with my family and friends, or a few minutes with my kids, and then I would go to Vegas. Like, okay. So I guess maybe when you have 1 year, you have more time to become sappy and cry and spend time with family and friends. But when you give people 24 hours, 6 hours, they're like, look, I know I would spend time with my kids, but yeah, I would go to Vegas. And then I think the other locations were Vegas, Mexico, Hawaii. I had Peru, Egypt by the pyramids, etc., etc. And then someone else said, and then of course there was this whole thing with breaking the law. There were people who were talking about how they would rack up some debt, some major debt. They would spend up all their money on their credit card. No one was talking about how they would want to have a high credit score when they would die, when they die. They were like, I would rack up my credit cards. I would buy flights to hijack a plane. And then there were other people who were talking about how they would kill people. Like, someone they hated, they would go ahead and go shoot them or shoot them in the foot. There were so many people who are in relationships who are talking about, I would leave my husband, I would, just drop him. And then there were other people who were saying, I would break the law, I would steal a car, I would have the cops steal a car and have the cops chase after me. Other people were talking about food and all the food they would eat. I would eat ice cream, cupcakes, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A. Yeah, Chick-fil-A be good. Yes, I would be eating some Chick-fil-A. Maybe not. Maybe Texas Roadhouse or something like that. And then other folks, which I thought was interesting, they said, I would tell the person that I have a secret crush on how much I love them and profess my undying love. I'm like, why not do it today? Why you gotta wait till you have 24 hours to live? Then you ain't gonna have time with them, right? And then there was scuba diving, strip clubs, and all of that stuff. But my favorite was one person who said that she would, in her last hour, she would walk over down to the beach in a grass skirt with coconut bra and a drink in hand, and it would be a mai tai, and she would lay on the beach and wait for death. I was like, oh my God, beautiful, interesting. I don't know. Anyway, so that being, hopefully that cheered you up. But that was what folks said. Other human beings like us, 100 human beings, asked that question 24 hours. That's what they answered. So finally, let me end with this. Stephen Levine, who is a poet, a teacher, and an author of the book 1 Year to Live, was asked, first of all, what prompted him to live as if he had 1 year to live, and why he ended up writing that book. And he said when he was 58 years old, he learned that the Dalai Lama, when he was 58 years old, a reporter asked him what he was going to do next with his life. And he answered that he was going to prepare for death. And so the reporter was like, oh my God, Dalai Lama, why are you preparing for death? Are you dying? What have you been diagnosed with? And the Dalai Lama replied that he wasn't sick. He wasn't sick at all. And so the reporter was like, then why are you going to live, or like you're preparing for death? He said, well, what I know for sure is that the body is impermanent, right? And so I will live preparing for death because that's the natural thing to do. So you may be wondering, how did that 1 year to live experiment impact Stephen Levine's life? Because what Stephen Levine did was he went to different nursing homes and different people who had exactly 1 year to live, and he interviewed them and asked them about, what regrets did they have, or what joys did they have, or what insights did they have on life, knowing that they had that 1 year to live. And so I'm going to read to you exactly what he wrote in his book in terms of what was the most profound influence of going through that process. So he said, the year to live offered extraordinary insights into the places where I had been numb, and into the small voice within, which became more pronounced. But the most profound influence was an increase in courage. When you have 1 year left, fear makes you too small. You better live that life. You're going to be, no, he says, you better leave that life that you're going to be so unhappy to think you're leaving. In 20 years of being with people dying, my wife Andrea and I have seen miraculous things happen. Relationships untouched for 25 years blossom into something you wonder how that person could have lived without. What happens when we find out we only have 1 year to live? We know we cannot be hurt anymore, that we might die, and we feel safe. Sorry. When we know we can't be hurt anymore, that we might die, we feel safe. Isn't that interesting? When you know that you cannot be hurt anymore and that you're going to die, you feel safe. Why should knowing that we're going to die make us feel safe? It makes us feel unsafe too. But there is this place inside of us that feels safe, that allows us to see what holds us back from life, yet says it hates to lose life. How much life we trade off. We trade off more life after we're born than we do after we die. That is so profound, isn't it? Isn't it? It says we trade off more life after we're born than after we die. So you're so scared of losing something when you die, yet while you're living life in bondage, and when you're living life afraid and fearful and unsafe, you actually lose more of life. So when you know that you have mortality and you know that you have an expiration date, as much as we hate to think about it, guess what? It makes you feel unencumbered. You know that I'm not going to be here forever. So I might as well live with courage. I might as well step into my passion. I might as well step into my purpose. I might as well do what it is I was born to do, because at the end of the day, I'll be gone. I have an expiration date. So live like you're dying. Live like you have tomorrow, like tomorrow is not promised, because it isn't, right? So that's my hope lifeline for you guys today. It was a whole lot of deep information, but at the end of it, the whole idea is don't trade your life for other things that are meaningless, that do not add any benefit into your life. Live your life with passion, with gusto, the way it was intended to be lived. Live your life without fear. Step into your greatness. Step into who God created you to be. All right. God bless you and have an amazing, amazing day. Make it a hope filled day. All right. Bye bye.